Deluded. I'm back again. Thank you for tuning in each and every time. Now, Fridays equals Q&A days, and if nothing more, it presents an opportunity for me to give something back. After all, you are DG Nation. I'm YouTube's N'Golo Kante. We've got to reach a common ground. We've hit 19,000 subscribers. DG Nation is international, people, and we're moving mad. And I thank all of you each and every time for your support, and however regular or however frequent you watch my videos. I see some comment the other day, I can't remember the username, forgive me, but Donny said something like, you're the reason my screen time's like 8 or 9 hours or whatever. I apologise, my guy. Put down the screen and go and do some other stuff as well, please, my guy. Even me, I'm in front of screens too much. This, the phones, can't see it, but the laptop, etc, etc. But let's crack on with the Q&As and do what we're here for, people. Maxwell Duncan has asked, yo DG, what part of Jamaica does your family come from, and do you ever visit? St Thomas, my guy, that's the parish. We've obviously got some family in Clarendon and things like that, and of course I visit. What kind of questions that? I'm not gonna lie, on a serious note, I haven't been Jamaica in about 2 years, but obviously my Bay, Cedar Valley, night gets, man. Obviously I miss Jamaica, man, and I assume you live there, and hope everybody's all right with all what I was hearing about the earthquakes and whatnot, or that little whatever happened. But I miss it, man. I don't even know if it's, I don't think it's guinnip season and all them things there yet, but the guinnip, the sugar cane, the patties. If you're, please eat an authentic patty for me, because the things we have in England, it's not the same, my guy. Like, it's not the same, man. But yeah, of course I visit, and I need to go back, but that's some serious sterling to go Jamaica, doggy, as you know yourself, man. Serious bills and them thing there. But moving on, thank you very much for your question, and I think we've got another Jamaican following on from Maxwell. Big up my people there, man. I love you guys each and every time. Killies. Anyways, Devon's asked, DG, you didn't even say DG, you said Deluded. On Instagram, I've seen on Instagram, Vontae Daly Campbell has the Jamaican flag on his page. Do you think, given the riches in England at the right back spot, do you think maybe he's giving in to the idea of playing for Jamaica if they come calling, or am I reading too much into this? Potentially reading too much into it, my guy. I mean, I'm so sure I see once upon a time Emil Smith Rowe had a Caribbean flag and whatnot. Jadon Sancho had his islands, and obviously it's their heritage and whatnot, but we can't beat England, man. Or we need to chat to Nigeria and see what they're doing in terms of tempting players, man, because listen, Jamaica, for a country of 3 million people, we've affected the world, and I can't believe we're not doing this football thing. Like, we're just supporting Brazil and that, really and truly, man. And we need to do something, if we're honest. Not just Jamaica, but a lot of countries. I'm not saying players aren't proud for them, but England and France are the first choices, because you've got a lot of French players that could play for many African countries and French-speaking Caribbean islands. But obviously, through living in France, they feel an affinity to there. Obviously, you're more likely to win sporting trophies. And I will say this, there are certain, because I've seen it in many cases, there's a lot of corruption in all football, but that's probably what harms our team people, really and truly. That's probably what stops us and whatnot, because there's been cases of, like, I know someone, not Jamaican, but I know someone that's played for a certain country. It came to getting hotels to go and play in these friendlies, and the chairman's skiving money. And I'm also not going to lie, in terms of the Jamaican, a point, I'm not going to reveal what year this was, but a former Jamaican player, in a nice possible way, he kind of said, I don't know if the chairman's still there at the time, but he more or less said the only way it's going to improve is if he gets, you make of that what you will, my dude, man. But potentially you're reading too much into it, my dude, man. Ain't nothing though. Hopefully, but yeah, man, shout out to Vontae Daly Campbell now of Leicester. Hopefully he keeps developing and he does his thing. Tom's asked, given we're in the winter break, thought I'd ask you something off topic. Are you a film buff or TV series kind of guy, or both? And what are your favourite films / series? I would say, I wouldn't say buff, because for me, yeah, it's kind of implying that I love it as much as football, in the sense that it's a passion of mine. In terms of films, I like it sounds cliche, but I like a bit of everything. But I like to laugh, man. So anything Bernie Mac's been in, and them sort of comedians around that era, any films like that. One of my favourite films is Eddie Murphy Boomerang. Away from all of this, but as a child I loved all the Toy Stories, Don't Be a Menace, all the Fridays. Films along that line, for obvious reason, is what I kind of are my favourite films. What's the other one? House Party, even though it's not the best of films, but I like them sort of ones there. I'd say Avatar as well, you know, like the blue thing. I'd say Avatar. I think that was a good movie, really and truly, man. I want the next thing to come out. I love my TV series, though. I'm not gonna lie. I think best thing I've probably seen, Wire / Breaking Bad. Game of Thrones was sick, but the ending was dead. Sorry if you've watched it already. Shout out to Tom Shelby and all them Peaky Blind dons there. Watch Narcos. What else? It's sad, yeah, but I've been meaning to, you know, when I was doing all them review vids and stuff, I've been meaning to come on that angle a bit more. I should be watching more of them Netflix football series and that, but I don't really watch none of them, really. Sad to say. I was watching Suits, but it kind of fell off, my guy. Like, I can't tell you the last episode I watched. Suits just went dead. It used to be something I was on. If you don't know what Suits is, anybody's the lawyer thing. Shout out to Harvey Specter and them and there. But what other series and that? All the bait things, man, really and truly. Like, I'm a mixture of the both, but I'd probably say if I had to pick one side, I'd probably say I'm more series. But I've hit up cinema enough times. Like, I want to watch the latest Bad Boys. Give that a 7 out of 10, really. Want to go and watch. What's that one with the brother from Peckham, and he's been doing his thing in America and that, man. And then there's that other lady that's doing her thing, man. The black lady. What is it again? Is it Queen and Slim or something like that? That looks sick. I want to watch that. Oh yeah, how can I forget Godfather as well? Scarface. Godfather long as hell though, man. Right. Scarface. Paid in Full. City of Gods, or whatever it's called, the one with Wesley Snipes. Basic films, like, not necessarily the best, but I'd say they're my favourites. But shout out to you, Tom, man. That question was out the box and it's got me, you know, thinking and whatnot. Shout out to Steve as well, because Steve Harrington, apologies for mispronouncing your name, but I always see you offering kind words of encouragement as well, and I think you're a relative new subscriber. Apologies and no offence if you've been here from the jump, my guy. I mean no harm, but it's a bit like I've been clocking your comments and whatnot. But I promised I'd answer your question in my Q&A. I see you in the comments. You said, DG, what's your thoughts on the summer transfer window? As people say, we can sort out the team, but I think we'll struggle due to the European Championship, where players' value will be all over the place. Keep up the good work, bro. I share your concerns, but it's probably a bit overstated. Because I do that myself. I'd probably say to a degree, apart from actually sorting out medicals and things like that. I'd say it's irrelevant. Obviously, if a man gets injured or if he has a real stinker of a competition, people might be like oohing and ahhing and things, of course. But I'd say it's more just the logistics of things, people, really and truly. Because you look at deadline day, again, I can't remember, forgive me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Thomas Lemar, for example, with the France side, and maybe just not wanting to sign for Arsenal, but you heard he was a bit shell-shocked and taken aback by how quick the developments were. Do you get it? Because obviously his head is focusing on the competition. That's the difficulty. Obviously, we've signed players. I'm sure we signed Nasri before Euro 08, and I'm sure we signed Ramsey during it, even though he weren't playing for Wales, when Wenger was a manager and whatnot. It's completely different, but teams have shown they can do things around that. Well, didn't Henderson sign for Liverpool just before going to a competition? I could be completely wrong, but it's almost irrelevant. Obviously, I'd say it would more pisses off the international managers, pardon my language, because imagine if I'm England boss, and I've got, who's linked with moves? Let's just say Grealish, people, because he's the first one where he gets in the side, or Maddison. Them and they get called up. Obviously, they're professionals in that, and you want them to focus on the Euros. But if they're focusing on the Euros, which is one thing, and you're seeing, United and Liverpool want to buy my man, this and that, they're not closed off from the world. They're going to see this, and this is going to have some effect on you, no matter how much you want to focus your future. And obviously, as an international manager as well, it would pee you off as well if you're trying to pattern your thing or install what you're trying to do, and man got to go off to do medicals and these sort of things there. I hear what you're saying. It's a true point about the value thing, but I think it's a bit irrelevant, people. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter regardless if we're proactive and not reactive. I'm beating a dead horse saying that. If we have XYZ target and XYZ contingency plans, if these targets can't be obtained, then it doesn't matter. In an ideal world, we do our business, the core bit of our business, before we bring in them midfielders. Hopefully 2 Arsenal if you're watching. Raul if you're watching, please. 2 midfielders. Centre-half goals without saying. Like I've said to you lot before, in an ideal world, for me, we get them 3 positions. And obviously, if there's some other areas, Arteta wants to do and whatnot, like you've seen with the Suarez signing in terms of depth, you can do that. But for me, them three signings, core signings, and then we sit on the fence during the Euros, or it may be even irrelevant from the Euros, other players' developments. Obviously, people can mock Arsenal, say we're not top four, we're not these things, but I would love to have all of our business done, and then you keep your eye open on the market. If what Wenger would say in the best way is a super player, again, people will mock Ozil, and our business wasn't exactly done in that window, but you see how Ozil became available towards the end of the window. If we do our key part of our business and something, happens, I'd love to be in that example, because for me, obviously, I'm not going to talk about strikers because we need to decide what we're doing with Lacazette and Aubameyang and what we're going to do if we'll both go and leave and all these things. So striker is one thing, but for me, I'm happy with our wide options: Saka, Martinelli, Nelson, Pepe, regardless of what people have to say, myself included, about all of them. I'm happy with that. I think we've got good depth. I mean, cast yourself back 12 months. We had Ozil and Mkhitaryan on the flanks, people. Two creative midfielders by trade. I know Mkhitaryan at Dortmund was doing up flanks, but you get it. So I can't really complain, really. But if, for example, someone super became available, someone better by what we have, and a super player like, obviously Mo Salah's unobtainable, but if like a Mo Salah or these sort of players before, like how he was at Roma, if one of these men become available, I would like us to put full focus in doing that, rather than he's available, let's penny pinch and delay this transfer, we ain't brought in the centre half, and on top of that, we do our business early. The more Arteta has to work with the players, because that's the one thing he deserves, a full pre-season. How much of that he'll be allowed, I don't know, because you got the Olympics, Martinelli potentially going to that. He'll miss the start of the season if he does go to that and choose to do that. Can't imagine too many of our players will be going on international duty for the European nations. Bellerin's not playing for Spain unless a miracle happens. Guendouzi's been called up by France. It's probably too much for him, especially with his dip in form. Holding is not going to go with England. Neither is Maitland-Niles, as much as I would love it. Saka's probably our best chance. Obviously, he's probably not going to go. If Martinelli does a switcheroo and represents Italy, then we got someone. But you can't imagine too many men from England, from Arsenal, will be impacted by that. Obviously, Leno will go with Germany in some capacity. You've got the Kolasinacs if his nation's qualified. Socrates the same. Xhaka in Switzerland again. Actually, don't know who's qualified, but I'm pretty certain that Switzerland will be there. So you've got these sort of men, of course. And Ozil's speculation will be up for future, and so will Mustafi, and we should probably move these sorts on, but in theory Lacazette's probably not going with France, but Lacazette, Aubameyang, all the players should really be there for him to work with in pre-season, regardless whatever country we're going to do what we're doing in pre-season. Good question, man, and thank you very much, Steve. But yeah, man, you've got the creative juices flowing, Steve, but I spent too long on your question, my dude. But Emmanuel's asked, what current players on loan are you hoping to start games and make an impact the most next season, apart from Saliba? Tough question, my dude. It's a tough one. You know me, I love Tyrese John-Jules, but probably not. He's still developing. I don't know if Emil will go out on loan again, but I'd love to see what Emil could do, man. I'd love to see Emil, kind of make some progress and go from just being a player who's part of the first team, but not really to, seeing what he can do on a week in, week out basis. Quite, he got his chance. He'd be doing his thing in the Europa League and cup competitions, but against Everton, it was a tough one, and he does need to go out on loan. Ironically, on the Wednesday of the day of making this vid, I'm going to have to watch the highlights, but I believe he's playing against Cardiff, and he's been putting in work for Huddersfield. He can be an 8 and a 10 long term. He can obviously play out wide. I like how he can carry a ball. He's got a good final pass. Goals and assists are a part of that position, I guess. But I'd say him, man. I hope so. Anyways, my dude. I hope he can come and do a thing. But yeah, man. I'd love Tyrese to get opportunities here as well, to be fair with you. And I think he could cut his teeth to a degree. But he's young. He's 18. He's played 6 senior games. Let's leave these lot alone, really. If I can cheat and say Eddie Nketiah because he went out on loan, then maybe. But yeah, shout out to you for your question. Jack Murphy has said, what's your thoughts on the links to Pape Gueye? Now, I'm sure I brought a video out about this, but I'm on it, man. 6 million, 21 in the footage and games you look of him. Seems a good passer, seems very raw, and he'll need to be taught positioning, really define what he does on a football field, and he really need to learn the midfield role. But what can you expect from someone that's 21, that's played, maybe maximum 50 top flight, close to 50 top flight games, because I think he got his breakthrough last season. Don't know how many appearances he made, but I know he's made 22 in the second division in France this year. So let's say anything from 20 to 40. Extremely inexperienced. He's got good character, because despite this inexperience, he's captain in their love rate, really and truly. And he seems fairly vocal, and he's not afraid to try a pass. So if we can develop him, bring him in, why not, man? I don't care if a man's bought for 60 or 16 million, 6 or 60 million, people. I'm bugging out. As long as they can do a job, and he's 21, so there's also resale value there in 6 million. There's also scope to make a profit. So why not, man? He's got the physical attributes as well, man. So yeah, Matitude said, considering we end the season in our current position, can you see the board backing Arteta to buy the players we need? I mean, no more stopgaps. How long's a piece of string, my guy? I hope so, man. I'd like to think Arteta wasn't brought here under false pretenses, and I think Emery failed at Arsenal. And I'm not saying because he got Pepe he didn't bang, but you look at, he wanted Thomas Partey, he wanted Zaha, he wanted several other things, and as silly as Emery made certain decisions, I don't feel he was really backed up. He has to hold his L for what he did, but I don't think adequate, things were brought in. Man are bringing in duns like Lichtstein, and no disrespect, but you get what you pay for with these sort of men. David Luiz has turned a corner to a degree, but you get what you pay for with these sort of players. Socrates the same. I'm not disrespecting them, but you get it. I'd say less is more. If they can bring in Gay, to kind of harp on the last question, if they can bring in a Gay for 60 million, Gay, whatever his name is, for 6 million, and they can, because they're stacking the P's there, we can go a bit dearer on a centre half and maybe maybe a creative midfielder, then yeah, but they have to back him, because it doesn't matter if he's Houdini with the coaching tactics. If he's not backed up and we're not addressing areas and bringing in quality players in some degree, regardless of the fee, quality, are they actually consistent, competent, and are they confident to be able to play football? It sounds silly, people, but that's actually been my pet peeve of our recruitment. A lot of our players have not actually looked confident stepping out at the Emirates, and as much as I love the Emirates, it's not really the loudest of stadiums, so how can you not be confident there? Maybe our fans need to make it a bit more hostile, but how can you not really be confident? You need to, the same way you need to be humble and realise, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity at Arsenal, and you're not too big for the shirt. You have to make sure you able to wear that shirt. Even if it's 3 sizes bigger, you got to be puffing out your chest. You're an Arsenal player. You got to play with a certain swagger and can handle yourself in a certain way. And I'm tired of, don't get me wrong, people, you know me, I'm a Wenger baby. I'm all on putting arm around players and things, but I feel a bit like Jose in that regards. I really do struggle at times, and maybe in my coaching career that I hope to have in grassroots, that will harm me to a degree, because if you're a bit soft, I get it. And then again, you don't know me, I'm a competent individual. I'm not talking if you're going through stuff, but if you're a bit soft and I have to constantly, I'm not really on it, Like, man need to be gassed. Like, I don't need to be telling you the implications of winning and losing. I'm just someone that gasses you. You're playing football and the olders on the estate gassing you and say, oh, that guy's sick, So you try a bit more step over than that. That's what it's got to be. We got to get some sore guys in this team and some certified individuals, but will we? I don't know. Scout About It says, is it possible that Lacazette is a forward with some ST qualities like Biagio or Del Piero? First season as a starter for Lyon, he played behind Gomez and was known as a support striker. He only established as a pure striker in a 4-3-3, which is more flexible than other formations for a striker. Should he be playing just behind Oba in like a 4-4-1-1? Well, there is a case to be said for that, but I feel where Lacazette finds him, we know his goal scoring. He has scored a lot of goals and some important goals, but he hasn't scored enough if we're honest with ourselves. Like, Lacazette has the quality, regardless of his form, to be a 20 league goal scorer, and he failed to do that. And as much as Wenger got things wrong, we were linked with Lacazette for years, and it was well known he had concerns over that particular angle. Yes, Alexis Sanchez departed and certain things that are irrelevant to Lacazette happened, but Lacazette has never been a consistent goal scorer. He goes through at Arsenal anyways, he's never been a consistent, thorough goal scorer week in, week out. Within 6 months, we're sorting to bring in Aubameyang because Lacazette is not bringing in that sort of goals. He does have other qualities that I think are underrated, and I really want to see him get his confidence back because he was our player of the year last year. Personally, I get it. I do think he could play as a support striker and that option. But I've always been of the opinion he is a creative sort of player and he looks to make things happen. But I don't think his creative ability is really, or what he... I do think Arsenal fans, myself to a degree as well, once upon a time, overstate his creativity in this side. I know he got, 10 assists last season, and that's an impressive stat. But I don't think it's no madness really. But there is a case to say that, and it would definitely give us more balance than... Obviously, you have seen us play with slight balance with Lacazette up front, and Aubameyang out wide. But realistically, we want Aubameyang in the middle, really and truly. But it'd definitely be better than that, and I guess it would put them both in central positions where, in theory, they can link up better, score more goals. But yeah, man, good question, Scout about, man. Crower said, "Yo, Deluded, what's your opinion on Vikaro Zivkovic? I know you're talking about the FM Donny. He used to play for Groningen. He's just signed from China to Sheffield United. I haven't watched him in gazillion years, my guy. But if he's anything like his football manager potential, and if he's still got a fraction of that, he should be a decent player. Obviously, it was tough for him. I'm sure he had a spell at Ajax and a couple of other clubs. I don't personally know if he had injuries or whatever, but he just hasn't hit the heights, my dude. But I guess people do go from China to the Premier League, but considering that he hasn't really done anything of note in Europe, he's now playing in the Premier League with Sheffield United. Maybe Sheffield United's recruitment team is playing Football Manager because they bought Sandra Birch, and some other teams missed the trick from that. But maybe he could do a job for them, and he's got every reason to have the bit between his teeth to want to be a success, people, because them, not just in England, that's for us. Like, I'm in England saying that. I don't know where you are, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure there must have been comments in Holland or wherever saying failed wonder kid, this, that, and the third, as it typically happens. So, yeah, my dude, man. What else have we got? Eugenia said, thoughts on Sangare of Toulouse, think he's a good player. Voiceover said, what do you think of Omari Hutchison? Bad boy footballer, young footballer, keen to see him as a first year scholar next year. Got 4 assists in the recent international break away with England's under-17s in his first, I believe his first or second camp. Decent player, man. He's got a passing range for someone who's not the biggest. He's not on getting roughed up as well. Like him, man. Decent player. Look, like I said, man, happy to see him as a first year scholar next year. Timbuktu, and I'm so sure I answered your question, but I see you in the comments, you felt some sort of way that I didn't answer your question last week. You said, why did Arteta pull the plug on Sakanelli? Last week I asked when can we expect the next collaboration with Turkish or Curtis? I'm so sure I answered this question, but Turkish and Curtis, they're my guys. They're two of the few of these YouTubers that actually, reach out, trying to do this thing, and actually like Turkish in particular as well, because obviously Curtis has more or less just jumped on his own. He's gone from talking his thing on AFTV to like what we've all been getting on to him about, bringing out his own channel. But Turkish and Curtis are the only real ones. Shouting out to man and that, really. So whenever they want to come true, or I want to go true to them, is what it is. They work. We're all working men. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm always up for it, cause they're my guys away from this YouTube crap. But Sakanelli's a bad boy combination down that left hand side, and obviously this was in reference to when we played Burnley, I believe, and we dropped points. He has to just hold his hands up for that one, really, because it was accommodating Lacazette and it didn't bang. In short, my dude. Vestar said, do you think we should be playing... do you think we would be better playing 3-4-3? Playing Ozil means we have to play a formation with a cam. If we drop him, we could pair Torreira next to Xhaka, Ceballos or Willock for the remainder of the season. A back three of Marie, Holding... And it actually says read more, so it hasn't included the other player. To be fair, I'm not really... I know our pivot's improved under Arteta, but for me, you can play... it's the one thing that makes me personally reluctant to that, people, is I see a midfield too. And I know it doesn't really make a difference because Ozil plays higher up the field, but I just don't really believe in our pivot of such. And I just like to play with 4 defenders, really and truly, my dude. Yeah, man. I do actually think Ozil could... Well, Ozil has played in the 3. Ozil really should have changed the way he played a long time ago. And really, we just need to find a modern-day creative player that can play as a more central sort of midfielder, because poetry and motion in football is dead. As much as I love Mesut Ozil and will defend him until he leaves this football club. Moving away from that question, Adil has said, hey, bro, hope you're doing great. What's your aims for the future and your dream job, career? Supporting you from Ethiopia. Keep going, bro. We'll root for you. Big up yourself, Adil, man. And I can't put into words. Like you said, Ethiopia, like, you know, Ethiopia and the Rastas, they got the link up, but it's like, it's crazy. Through YouTube, it's like, a man's in Ethiopia, so big up yourself, man. DG Nation International, like we said. But I'm doing well, my guy. Thank you for asking first and foremost. You said, what's my aims for the future? To simply be a better man. I'd say to work in football full time. It's not a secret. You lot watch my channel that know in some capacity. Love to be able to make, if somehow I could make videos more frequently or take time to really develop my craft and just do YouTube full time so I can pursue football, working within football, I'd say that would be my guy. My dream job, a prominent position within a football recruitment setting or something of that nature. Or if money wasn't a factor, a coach. I find nothing better than smelling the grass, smelling the fresh paint, arguing with referees, coaching players, seeing them develop. I know nothing better than that, man. And yeah, couldn't be a footballer, so I'd say a coach, man. If God could give me anything I want, I'd say a coach. Great question, though. Princess said, would you sell Lacazette if it meant we could bring in a left winger like Zaha? I love Laka, but I do think we'd be a much more balanced side with Pepe on one side and Zaha on the other, with Aubameyang up front. There is that degree, my guy. I think regardless of his Laka stayed or goes, we need another number 9 that can supplement in some capacity scoring goals and just accept being a plan B, really. I 100% agree, because Martinelli, Pepe right now has got it on lock. You lot know me, I'm a big fan of Zaha. Not directly. If we have to sell Lacazette because of his contract nonsense, then I would look at Zaha to make us a more balanced side. But if this is White and Black is selling Lacazette to bring in Zaha, I know Lacazette's form is trash. And to be fair, there's a case to sell Lacazette regardless of this. But if you're asking me directly for Zaha, in mind with buying Zaha, I'd say no. As much as I love Zaha. Come to the club though, Zaha. Don't get it twisted. I'm seeing Chelsea going for Sancho and that. So you're going to come here. I mean, you can ask your new agents to go and try with the Bayern Munich and PSG thing, but let's force that move for real to Arsenal this time. Moving away from that, 14 Gooner has said, big up DG, big up yourself. After Emre's comments, do you think that we have player power at Arsenal? I think we should move on some players like Ozil or put them on the bench. I know at this moment everyone thinks everything looks good, but Ozil is not good enough. And I think I've nipped it in the bud what you're saying. There's player. I would say there's player power everywhere, people, and it's actually away from Arsenal and Unai Emery. How you talk to these players now, man management is arguably greater than your tactics. Of course, you need to be a good tactician, but it doesn't matter if your players will not resonate. If you can't, capture the emotion and what's beautiful in man and all these sort of things and arms around shoulders when to do it, you can't do anything. You look at Pep and Klopp, if they couldn't do that, then it wouldn't matter what they can implement, really and truly. So I'd say man management is very vital. Player power is just a frequent thing at all clubs, so I'd say it's a bit irrelevant, my guy. And Emery didn't. It's not just Ozil. You say like Xhaka has turned the corner under Arteta. Why? I believed in my man. You saw comments and stuff coming out that Xhaka was upset with Emery. Koscielny was upset with Emery because he's making him play ridiculous amounts. It's not just Ozil. Like, he's clearly failed to get several players on side or buy into what he wanted to do. Allegedly, certain staff. I don't agree with this, and I don't agree with young players either. But whether you're failing to command respect, you're alienating players, you're being a bit cold, you're failing to really judge the emotions of the camp, you're doing something wrong. Player management, player power is an important thing, and how you control emotions and how you manage your fellow man in that environment, it makes the difference. FCHS student has asked, I say your name so slow, I can't wait, F that up. You've said, yo DG, big up my bro, thank you very much. What do you think Wenger saw in Mavropanos to bring him in from Greece? Stop right there. Wasn't it Mislintat? And listen, obviously, what Mavropanos was seeing, someone that could potentially push for the first team, and he might be able to do that. Right now, he's a forgotten man. But what we've got to remember is that he wasn't brought in for the malice of fees. It's still in our best interest to develop him, because people say he hasn't reached the first team. But I don't know how much we brought him in, but let's just say we brought him in for 5 million. You develop him through playing in Germany and a couple other loans. You turn around, you sell that man for 20. All right, cool. It is what it is, and it's not directly a profit like that. But you see the cake you make, you add it to somewhere else. It's not. This is what we've got to do, especially in our position. It's not just players for the first team. It's a bit shady, but we potentially have to buy certain players with no real mind of ever reaching first team. It's just a profit, not having a farm and doing all of these sort of things and trafficking sort of stuff like some clubs do. But you get the point. His injuries are obviously harming him and have stalled his progress. And Yeah, there's still, even with a new centre-half in Marie coming, there's always going to be question marks over Arsenal's centre-half position. Throughout this whole video, I've kept saying centre-half. And Mavropanos, I don't think is that currently. And he just had minutes his currency. He needs to be exposed to top-level games or senior environment football and stay fit, which he's doing so far at Nuremberg. Getting man of the match in a couple of games and whatnot, which is... Sorry for that, people. Which is dramatically better than what happened. You can see the penalty against Hamburg in his first game, I believe. I could be wrong. But yeah, it's down to Mavropanos. But if we can make a profit, it's all good. Arsenal fan has said, do you want Nkunku? I wouldn't mind taking him. That's one thing. Emery was on signing him and we didn't bring him in. We opted for other players, allegedly. Denis Suarez. So, yeah, but yeah, look at Leipzig, people. They're going to make a decent change on Nkunku. Doing his thing. Kerry Tucker said, hey, Deluded, how's it going? Shout out to you, Kerry, because I see you comment every vid with the same old questions and whatnot. Always asking me how I'm doing. Thank you very much. I'm doing well, and I hope you and your family and, you know, you're doing the same. So thank you for that question. Ryan finally has said, Ryan said, something about Pepe's personality tells me he's going to shine. He doesn't seem overly bothered or to be trying very hard. What Arsenal fans need to realise, he's our first dribbler since Nasri, really. Alexis always preferred to have time in the ball and play make. Bit of both. I think people, I 100% agree, because I remember saying that in my vids. People underestimated Alexis's creativity. Like, I think if you look at Alexis in his prime's creativity and Lacazette's, no disrespect to Lacazette, it's a different wave. Like, Ozil and Alexis, I'm sure statistically, one of them must have passed the ball to the other the most times, Carl. They played some lovely football on their day, which isn't too often as an Arsenal fan. I agree with what your comments. I do think he's going to be a success, because he has looked at times like he's got a bit much and his confidence has been shot. But there's just something, again, whether he'll hit the heights and be a £70 million player, I doubt much. But minimum for me, if you can be 10 goals, 10 assists, that's what I want to see from you. And I kind of see points to believe he can. Now, the longer it goes on, the more we're looking at him, and he hasn't been perfect. But I agree, man, there's something in him. He needs to fine-tune himself, probably needs to improve, well, especially when I go live, the defensive part of his game. But something tells me he's going to be decent, man. But football's not a patient sport, my dude, man. It's not a patient sport. And as fickle as it is, you play good football, everybody leaves you alone. You play bad football, you've always got something wrong in your personal life and whatnot. Apologies for kicking the screen there. I don't think I've got anything more to add on that note. I don't think there's any other questions. Oh, I lied. There's bare other questions. I lied. Mud. Mud. Anyways, moving on. I lied to you lot. There's enough questions. Need you like Jaws has said, do you think we have a Vieira replacement in Guendouzi? Nope, because two different players in my opinion. One has said, these play... Oh, sorry, my guy has shagged you, you know. Like, it hasn't brought your full question out. It said, these players' contracts expire at the end of the season. Who would you sign? The only ones I can see is Willian and Ryan Fraser, my bro. Look, literally, I printed them off and it's not banging for man. But neither, really. Neither. It's just based on that. D Solo has said, for me, Ozil will not go down as a great legend or anything near. I'll play... Again, you got shagged as well, but I'm going to assume you're going to just ask me where Ozil stands. In fact, I'm pretty sure I can find your question. Hopefully, because I remember your username. I'm pretty sure you commented doing the right thing, like I always tell you lot to do. Comment in the community tab. Hopefully, let's try and find... Here we go. You've said, where would you place Ozil in your list of AFC greats? Well, do you know what? It's a weird one, because I think he's one of the best players to play in the Emirates. And sometimes when he's linked with Alexis, but at the same time, I do share what you feel. I feel he's a terrific footballer. He's an enigma. But am I going to remember you in Arsenal folklore? Because of the FA Cups and that, of course. But it's not through one fault of his other, whether it's unfair expectations. It just hasn't been there. Legend is a strong claim because, like, he's, I'd say, fan favourite. I remember him and salute him out. I wouldn't say legend or icon or anything. He's an icon and a legend in his own brand because he's Mesut Ozil and what he's done. And I like him as a player. Like, I love Mesut Ozil as a player. But separate to Arsenal, I'd say he's just been a fan favourite, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think Ozil's been a calm player, really. I think in his prime, we really felt him, and evidently as he's fallen off as a footballer in the last 2, maybe 3 years, we've just still persisted with him and just failed to move on in the hope that something's going to change, but it is what it is. And he'll always divide opinion, but if fans are honest with themselves, you know he's a terrific footballer. Faris has said, Deluded, hey Deluded, what's your latest video speaking about Mavropanos? Obviously, when clubs sign young players or if they come from the academy, you usually see sometimes talent in players. You see that he got it. Does he, Mavropanos, have it? I don't see it. I think he's a decent player, but I'm not like, if he develops, he develops. If not, he not. But that's how some players are, people, man. Mandem were probably saying that about Bale when he was just fresh at Tottenham, and now look at him at Madrid. And whatnot. You've also said, I'm a Madrid fan, but I like your channel in Arsenal. Real Madrid recently signed Renier. Jesus, what is he all about? Quick little plug. I've done a video on him, but I really like him. He's a strong dribbler. He's a creative player. If he matches his potential, he could be a great player for you lot. But potential is one thing. Right, what's wrong with you lot? Mavropanos questions, man. It's all love. But George has said, two man of the man matches in a row for Mavropanos in Germany. Do you think we should give him a contract extension or sell him? Well, depending on when his contract is up, if he keeps developing, new deal to protect his value, he needs to go out on loan again, potentially to the Premier League. If he's shown he can be a competent Premier League player for us, then cool. If not, cha-ching, profit, my guy, is what we need to be doing. Omer said, how many players do you think we'll get this summer? I hope 4. I hope 3 to 4 minimum. Will it happen? I don't know, but I hope so. You've also said, have you seen or heard about... Well, no, you haven't said that. Faris again has said, have you seen or heard about Ryan Cherky, the 16-year-old at Lyon? Probably butchered his name, but how many videos have I done? Quick little plug. Check them out, man. I'm not even going to expand on him again. Mystique has said, should we offload both Aubameyang and Lacazette in the summer? If he doesn't score as much after the break, and Aubameyang because he wants to leave, well, it's a question for the club. They need to make a decision, and I don't feel any decision will have every fan's backing, really. If they sell both, or if they, especially in Aubameyang's case, then you've got to bring in someone for 20 league goals. If you sell both, then you've got to make sure you've got a contingency plan. If you keep both, you've got to make sure you know what you're doing, because every game, their question marks are going to be there. Aubameyang will be able to depart in January and agree a deal, for free. So you'd have to concede biting the bullet on using him for a year. Lacazette would still have a year ahead of Aubameyang on his deal. So we'd have to see what happens. But again, there'd be the case of moving him. Zaka said, Dyer Upamecano, are we the fans sensationalising him a bit too much? Why are we hanging our hat on this one defender? I think you're right. And I think it's nothing to do with Upamecano. It's similar to what Saliba's happened, and maybe it was a gift that he went out on loan. He looked to one man to be the messiah. First and foremost, the coaching. Arteta evidently knows we need to improve defensively. Upamecano, I must admit, I like him. I'd love to bring him to the team, but I do think there is elements in his game he would learn harsh lessons in the Premier League, especially when he's pulled into wide positions. He has a mistake in him. He looks a bit clumsy. He is very reactive. I feel his passing at times can put pressure on his teammates, but I do like him by the same token. He's very confident on the ball and he can play in the high line. He is a decent defender, and he had a terrible first half by his own admission probably against Bayern Munich. And he reacted well in the second, so there is some potential there. But again, we shouldn't be looking at man to be the messiah, and we are sensationalising a man. And I don't think many people are watching him week in, week out. I know a lot of you are, but the majority, because they do it with players that are not even... They do it with players that are at our club, like Reece Nelson, and they're the first to call them overrated. They look at 5-second clips, and it pisses me off, people, pardon my language, of him scoring for Hoffenheim or something like that. Not watch the whole game where he's not exactly been the best. Comes to Arsenal, you then say the man's overrated. He might genuinely be overrated to some people, and that's fair. But it's these sort of people that annoy it, and it's not just Arsenal; it's everywhere. Sensationalising things. So yeah, man. Yeah, you got the juices flowing, man. A bit of emotion in there. You can tell I love youth players. Wagyu has said, should we forget about the EPL and focus on the Europa League? Well, yeah, potentially. When I say forget, you still have to try and target top 4, even though it's mathematically gone. And I don't want to just throw out results for the sake of throwing out results. But yeah, our focus in, at least if we have a more realistic chance of getting Champions League, is more to the right of the Europa League than the left path, the normal path of getting via the domestic route. we owe it to ourselves to just put pride to the end of the season, as finish as high as we respectively can, and take it game in, game out. Yeah. Lee Miller said, what do you think of Tottenham? Shit. What do you think of shit? Tottenham, thank you. That's all right. I had to do it. You know I can't resist. Sarada said, have you watched the movie Pitch Fever? No, I haven't, you know. Might have to take that in. Feels like a movie I should have watched and everybody's watched but me. Maybe if I type it in, I'll be like, oh yeah. But I'm not going to. I don't think so. Yona said, do you think Arteta has the tactical nous to try and win the Europa League? I'm going to back my guy. I'm going to say yes, but I don't think we can do it, man. I just don't think we can do it. Listen, I'll support my boys. We've got to the final by that logic. I can sit here and say if we didn't do this against Chelsea, that wouldn't happen. But I don't think we have the cerebral. I don't think the players are as cerebral. The coach can say one thing. I think he's got it, but I don't think the players are as cerebral, as street smart, as cunning, as daring, as consistent as what's required to win a European trophy, really and truly. We always let ourselves down. We got to the final. We let ourselves down via individual mistakes. The year before that, or the year even before that, my brain is so fried how many times we've been in Europa League now, people. But what was it? No, not to dig players out, because there was obviously more to it, but Koscielny messing up against Atletico Madrid or something. If someone always lets the thing down, sort of thing. So, yeah, man, it's down to the players. Dante said, yo, my guy, do you think Robbie Burton will make it at Arsenal? Admittedly, I don't. Again, people were saying Iwobi wouldn't make it, so who knows? But I don't think he will, potentially. I just don't think he will. I think he's a good player. I just think he's a task too high. I'd probably potentially rate Ben Cottrell, young Charlie Patino ahead of him. He's got good enough to get opportunities, and you never know. Lomberg likes him, but you've got Miguel Aziz as well. You've got central midfielders, Guendouzi up there. You've got Xhaka, you've got Torreira. We've spoken about bringing 2 in. He is 20. There was reports he was offered by the club on loan, and allegedly there weren't any takers. So who knows? That could all just be was, but who knows? Begania said, which position do we need, Cam or CDM? Everything. And I believe finally Diabolical has said, what's your thoughts on Tanganga? Sadly, the only bad thing I can say about him is he plays for the wrong team. I'm a bit jealous, not of the player, but you lot see that Spurs have had some problems defensively, and while Tanganga has had some tough games, he's had some very good ones, and you wonder, like, obviously not everyone's going to be Jadon Sancho and stuff. There's some men that need to plug gaps. Spurs fans are probably wondering, where's this Donny been? Like, where has this Donny been? And as an Arsenal fan, I think that this myself, because I believe you actually asked a question, or was it someone else, about defensive prospects in Arsenal? But we've had a crisis. Where's our Tanganga? Where's that 20-year-old that in a crisis can just get filled in? Because I'm looking at it. If you had to ask me to pick someone, just as a fan watching 23s, out of all them young defenders, I'm going with Harry Clark, because I think he's played the best, really. Prior to his injury, I potentially would have said that Daniel Ballard, but he probably would have struggled. Zach Medley is very much the modern day footballer. He can bring it out from the back. He's very graceful, but I think he would learn some tough lessons defensively. And there's a drop off, and who knows, man? That just because that's me saying that, it doesn't mean he won't hack it in the Prem. I just don't think he's street smart enough as a defender. Tanganga is very proactive. He clearly understands how to mark. I think he did a very good job against Mane, in the game against Liverpool. I think, was he playing left back a couple of times? I'm sure he played left back against Watford. I could be wrong, but he had a terrible time. He got destroyed, so he's still a young man learning. But yeah, man, that's what happens. We've all been knowing, and I'm sure if you check my Twitter, how many times have I said, if there's one position Jose knows, it's centre halves, and there's always a man that will get a chance. I know Axel Teshabi was at Villa, and he hasn't really had too much of a look in consistently as an outsider looking at United. But who was it that gave him his debut, and he had a blinder at the Emirates to become his teammate, ironically, in a couple of years? Alexis Sanchez, who obviously, I believe ironically Zidane helped persuade Varane to move to Madrid initially. But wasn't it not Jose who readed him? I could be wrong. But wasn't it Jose who put Sergio Ramos centre half? I could be wrong. Again, I could be wrong. I'm not too sure on that one. But you get the point. There's been centre halves. That's one thing the man knows. He'll always bring a centre half. And even if Tanganga long term doesn't have a future at Spurs, which I believe he does in some capacity, the opportunity from this season or however long to learn how to defend, or the approach of defending under one of the best defensive coaches in the world, and it's Jose Mourinho. Regardless what you say about him, you speak about, when you say Jose, you think of winner. When you think of Jose, you think footballing god, really. And that's not an idolising thing, but you look, for me, you see him, regardless what people say about Ferguson, Jose, Wenger, Pep, Klopp's in there for me now. I don't care what no one says. Klopp is there. Klopp is in that bracket now. There's obviously different bars to the club. Certain men are in VIP. Certain guys got one thing, but he's there. So who knows, man? I think we're going off topic, but I think Tenganga's a decent player, man. Really and truly. Don't think I'm missing out any questions, but let's check. Nah, I think we've answered them all for real this time, people. I think we've answered them all for real, for real, for real, for real. On that note, though, for real this time, people, it's always an enjoyable Q&A. I don't want to miss any of you out next week, so make sure you comment with your questions and for me to answer, really. Hit the like, subscribe button. Make sure you're watching them ads so we can make these upgrades. Come on, I don't want to be making these videos on crappy walls forever, my dudes. But thank you very much, DG Nation, and I look forward to being back next week. As you lot know, I love doing the Q&As. They take a lot out of a guy, because we've been here for a minute, but it's what it is, man. All for the cause. People, one love, I'm out. DG. Bang. People, Deluded, I'm back again. I always make sure I don't leave anybody's Q&A out, people, and big up Live Planet, because he's always asking stuff on YouTube. He's always up on my Insta, and he's a very good, humble guy, man. He's been supporting my team religiously, and without guys like you, I wouldn't still be doing this, and you lot do a lot for me. Apologies for missing out your question, and I'm not actually sure if I've answered this, but I don't think I did. You said, would you let a family of pigeons live in your house for the rest of the year if it meant Arsenal guaranteed top 4? And now, yeah, a bit of that's probably because you see me, obviously I love to be at home making vids, but in Soho Square, pigeons seem to be trying to fight me and things. Then, I mean, I'd love top 4, my guy, but you gotta be kidding. That's all a myth. That's all a myth. Never, ever, ever. So they can poo everywhere and everything. Nah, them rats with wings, nah. We'll have to hold up another year of Europa League, my dude. But thanks for your question and your support. And like I said, man, apologies for missing you out initially. I saw your question. Actually, I don't know if you can see it, but my video notes. And I ain't trying to miss out no one, man. Especially the loyal supporters that have been here from day dot. And big up to yourself. I believe you technically live in Australia. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but big up yourself, man. Can't be easy supporting my team with the time difference and the randomness of when my videos come out. But nonetheless, thank you for your support, and thank you for everybody's support, really and truly, whoever you are, wherever you are. On that note, though, I ain't missed anyone else out for real, so I'm going to keep it moving. One love, people. DG. Bang.